Hey guys, I just wanted to give a little thought around leading worship at this time of the coronavirus crisis. And obviously, I've spent many years leading worship, and the joy is leading people in worship, actually seeing people engage with God and hearing the sound of hundreds of voices, joining together, declaring Jesus as Lord. And obviously, for a season, we're leading worship to a camera, or we're not having these gathered expressions of worship, and that can be challenging and frustrating, disappointing. But actually, I've been thinking, what are some of the opportunities, some of the things as leaders of worship, as musicians, we could dig into at this time? And I've been thinking about the Levites. The Levites were a group who were set apart to minister to the Lord, especially consecrated to serve in God's temple and to minister to Him. And this idea of people, of worshippers, of leaders ministering to God before even thinking about ministering to people. Again, I was struck by Joshua and Moses in Exodus. They had the tent of meeting where Moses would go and he'd meet with God. And when Moses would go to the tent, the people would stand and they'd watch to see what was going to happen. And it says this in Exodus 33 verse 11, the Lord would speak to Moses face to face as one speaks to a friend. Then Moses would return to the camp, but his young aide, Joshua, the son of Nun, did not leave the tent. And I love that Joshua was to become the successor to Moses. Joshua was the one who actually led the people of Israel into the promised land. And this picture of while Moses was leading and figuring out how to lead the people of Israel, Joshua was in the tent of meeting, worshiping God, praying. And so I want to encourage us at this time, rather than thinking, what am I going to do? I can't lead worship anymore. Cultivate that posture of ministering before the Lord, worshiping Him on your own in the hidden space where maybe no one is watching. I've seen a whole bunch of worship leaders who have been engaged in things like 24/7 prayer rooms or worship spaces, and actually that discipline and space of just worshiping God where there might be no one else there or very few people there, I think you can see that it brings a richness to their leadership, a freedom, a sensitivity to what God's Spirit is doing. And I just think we have this amazing opportunity for however long it's going to be to dig deep into what it looks like to worship God and to minister to Him, not just to sing songs that kind of remind us of who God is, although that's really important, but sing songs that actually bless His heart. A friend of mine, a guy called Pete Gregg, tells the story of he was writing a book, he was exhausted, he'd finished the book, and he wanted to gather his family, he's got 2 boys, and go out to this restaurant for lunch. And they got to this restaurant, they found this beautiful leather armchairs, he sunk into the armchairs, and in the garden was this kind of beautiful playground, swing slides, and he said to his 2 boys, go and play, and they both start running out to these swings and slides, but his youngest son suddenly stops, turns around, comes back and sits down in his dad's lap and says, Dad, I love you. And just, they cuddle each other. And Pete has this brilliant moment where he says, it's not like suddenly this is my favorite son, I love him more than the other. He loved his sons equally and he enjoyed seeing the other son playing on the swings, but that boy actually ministered to Pete's heart, to Pete's tired father's heart. And that's what we can do. It's a crazy thought that our songs and our hearts and our prayers and our offerings can honor God, can bless Him, can bring Him pleasure and joy. And so I just want to put out the encouragement. Let's find time in this season, because no one can say I'm too busy, because we've all got lots of time on our hands, just to worship, to sing these songs, to minister to God and allow Him to change us. And I think if we could do that, when we do eventually get to gather again as the people of God in buildings and all over the place, it will be sensational. So don't waste this moment. Minister to God and dig deep into worship.